Welcome to the Camp Springs Civic Association. We are live on Facebook, and the meeting will start shortly. Introducing John Bailey, CSCA President.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Camp Springs Community November 11th, 2020 meeting. My name is John Bailey, the current president of the association. I'm so glad that we're still able to meet during these challenging times. I wish everyone strength and good health, but we still have to follow the protocols that have been put in place for us by Governor Hogan and County Executive also Brooks, who are being led by our health department. It's time for us as a civic association to concentrate and focus on next steps. It's time for us to strategize and mobilize when we can. We must continue to work together on keeping our community safe, clean, and livable. Though it rained most of today, we must recognize the brave men and women who have sacrificed themselves to protect our country. I would like to wish those men and women and their families a very happy Veterans Day. And at some point, we will have Dr. Dula, a special guest, come in and speak on behalf of the veteran population. We did get some questions in our email, and some may not pertain to this particular meeting. However, we will approach those questions in due time. We will bring out other departments and specifically have meetings, smaller meetings on those particular subjects. So I'm going to get things started, and we're going to start off with our COPS officer in District 5, Corporal Polnack.
Thank you. As he said, I'm Corporal Polnack. I'm your District 5 COPS officer. I'm going to give you some crime stats for District 5, and this is going to be year-to-date from 2019, January 1st to November 3rd of 2019, and January 1st to November 3rd of 2020. These are just some quick crime stats for us. Robberies in District 5 for year-to-date to year-to-date, there was 34 in 2020, and there was 34 in 2019. So that's a 0% increase in robberies. That includes commercial and citizen robberies. Carjackings, on the other hand, in 2019, we only had 3 carjackings at this time last year. This year, we've had 12. That's an increase of 9. That's a 300% increase in carjackings in District 5. And that for violent crimes, with all the violent crimes in District 5, we've had 92 in 2019 and 109 this year. That's an increase of 17. So it's an 18.5% total increase in violent crime. And that includes murders, rape, robbery, carjackings, and assaults. Burglaries in District 5, in 2019, we had 124. In 2020, we've had 178. That's a 54 plus number. That's a 43.5% in burglaries. Now that includes commercial, residential, and other burglaries. The other burglaries could be sheds, like a detached garage or a storage facility, things like that. But I'll give you a breakdown on those here as well. Commercial burglaries, in 2019, there was 30. This year, there's been 56. That's an increase of 26. That's an 86.7% increase year-to-date over last year. Residential burglaries, on the other hand, in 2019, there were 73. There's only been 54. So that's a gain of less than 19. We had 19 less residential burglaries. So that's a 26% drop in residential burglaries. The other burglaries, like I said, could be sheds or detached garages or storage facilities, things like that. We've had an increase in those from 2019. We had 21. We've had 68 this year. That's an increase of 47 more. That's a 220% increase in the other burglaries. Stolen vehicles. We had 139 stolen vehicles in 2019. This year's year-to-date, same time frame, we've had 151. That's a plus 12. That's an 8.6% increase. That's a total property crimes of 7.3 increase. And that includes your burglaries, your larceny, theft, stolen vehicles, all your property crimes. One other crime stat we have is theft from autos. And that's probably one of the most preventable ones that we have, because most of those are just crimes of opportunity. Last year we had 259. This year we've had 288. That's plus 29. That's an 11.2% increase in theft from autos. And again, as I said, the total property crime was a 7.3% increase. The violent crime went up 18.5, and total crime in the district went up 8.5%. And that's my crime report.
All right, thank you, sir. I certainly appreciate that. Unfortunately, District 4, Sergeant Miller was pulled away on another assignment this evening, so he will not be available. However, I will request some sort of report from him, and then we'll post that on the website. Okay, so we'll go to our next subject. It's membership, and we'll bring on our membership chair, Ms. Monique Taylor.
Good evening, Camp Springs family. First and foremost, I want to say happy Veterans Day, and I want to thank you for your service. I hope everyone is doing well, and I thank you for attending tonight's meeting. If you are new to our meetings, we want to thank you for attending, and we welcome you. Just want to remind some and inform others of the Camp Springs Civic Association purpose. It's to maintain a membership of concerned, involved residents and business owners who are interested in the safety and the improvement of the community, to share ideas and pursue the goals that will enhance living conditions for our community, to stay informed of community issues and to monitor changes within the community and Prince George's County. So the first thing you need to do is become a member of the Civic Association if you have not done so this fiscal year. Go to campspringsca.org, click on membership, either fill out the membership application and mail it to the CSCA P.O. Box 1071, Camp Springs, Maryland, 20757. Attention membership, CSCA. You make the checks payable to CSCA, or you can go on our website and we have a PayPal and you can pay your membership there. Household membership is $15. Business membership are $25. Second, we need you to get involved. We have numerous committees to address our purpose that I read to you today. But in order to fulfill these purposes, we need you for implementation. Send an email to campspringsca@gmail.com. Let us know your interest and we will align you with one of our committees to fulfill your interests. And I just want to bring up that I know we've been seeing a lot of trash and unkept businesses in the community. That's just to name a few. Yes, we have elected officials and we have county officials that have a part to play in this. But we as the community, we have a part to play also. I asked the question, what are you going to do about it? I hope as a concerned resident, you avail yourself and put in the work to ensure that what we want for our community manifests. We all have a part to play. We all have something that we can do. I want to thank you, but I want to remind you, if some of you might not know, but we are hosting another community cleanup. It's scheduled for Sunday, November the 22nd. It's from 1 to 3. We are meeting at the Central Baptist Church of Camp Springs. We are cleaning this section of Old Branch Avenue to Middleton Lane. We ask that you wear your mask, Have on long sleeve shirts, pants, wear your gloves. We will provide the cleaning products. And this is going to be an ongoing project because we want to, as we said, we want to have a beautiful community. We want to better our community. So we're trying to do this on a monthly basis. If the weather is inclement, the cleanup will be canceled for that time period. Let's continue to be Camp Springs proud. Thank you and God bless.
All right, thank you, Monique. Just want to check and see if we have a special guest come in. If not, we will move over to our main speaker of the evening. Okay. So we will have next one of the most prominent women in our area that has been doing quite a deal of work in the community for some time now. We have to be proud of her. She's come in her office and has done a bang up job in our community. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our state's attorney, Miss Aisha Braveboy.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Bailey. I really appreciate this opportunity to be with you and your community, as well as my partners in the police department. I know that there are two members of my office here this evening with us. The first is Perry Paler. He is one of my deputies. He's also the chief of our guns and drugs unit. So he's someone who you certainly want to get to know. He also oversees our major crimes unit, which deals with a lot of the violent crimes that your cops officer talked about. In addition to that, we have Rashid Mahdi, who is your community prosecutor, and he lives in the southern part of Prince George's County. And he is just a wonderful prosecutor, has lots of experience, but more importantly, he really enjoys serving people and really being able to explain the work of our office as well as connect you to our office. So we're really excited to have him on the line as well. And I'll invite them to speak after I give my presentation. So I do have a presentation this evening. I think you all have it. Is someone going to share that screen?
Yes, ma'am. 1 second.
Okay, all right, thank you. Thank you very much. You can certainly go to the next slide. So last month, October, was Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And as many of you know, domestic violence is an issue that is very personal to me. I lost a cousin to domestic violence, and it has been one of the areas that my office has focused on pretty significantly. And recently we announced, in partnership, of course, with all of our law enforcement partners, as well as our hospital, a new interagency strangulation protocol. So we're really excited about this new protocol because it really adopts what we consider best practices in dealing with individuals who have been abused and where strangulation is indicated. Strangulation is the most lethal form of domestic violence. And oftentimes people who are strangled don't understand the long-term consequences that they face. including they're more likely to have strokes, breathing issues, or other types of conditions, including depression. And so ensuring that we identify those individuals who are victims of strangulation early will really assist us in getting the services or in the treatment that they need, as well as preserving any forensic evidence that we will need in order to prosecute their cases. Our Prince George's Hospital actually has a piece of equipment called the Cortex Flow, which can take pictures inside of an individual's body. And when we look at strangulation victims, we're really looking at, the throat and neck area, and it can show inflammation or any cartilage breakage or anything that would indicate that a strangulation has occurred, because often you can't detect strangulation just from the naked eye, depending on the person's complexion and how much pressure was used. There may not be visible signs, but internally there may be evidence that we want to get and collect. So there's a protocol now that starts with 911 and how they respond to these types of calls, the questions that they ask. They will ask whether or not you've been strangled or choked. If you have, then they'll know to inform those who are responding, whether it's our police department or our sheriff's department, depending on which district you live in, that responds to domestic calls. They will know to take those individuals to Prince George's Hospital to get a forensic exam, as well as other medical assistance they may need. So this is a great new protocol, and we're very excited, and we've actually seen it being used now, and we believe we'll be able to be in a good position to prosecute some cases that have come in as a result of this new protocol. So I just want to let you know that we are very focused and very serious about domestic violence here in our county, and certainly strangulation is something that is of concern to us, because victims of strangulation are 750 times more likely to end up victims of a domestic homicide. So this is a protocol that we believe will save lives. Next slide. So earlier this year in Annapolis, I lobbied for a few pieces of legislation. I just wanted to highlight two. One is making strangulation a first-degree felony offense. And that is an important law because it recognizes strangulation as a serious assault, as opposed to a misdemeanor assault, which it had been charged as previously. And so we are able to not only hold abusers more accountable, but also seek stiffer sentences for those who are engaging in strangulation. And the second law that my office lobbied for, and we actually wrote the law and it passed, was the Second Lieutenant Richard Collins III law, which is a hate crimes bill that really gave prosecutors a greater ability to prosecute individuals who are committing crimes based on hate. And this bill really came out of a case that my office successfully prosecuted. It was State versus Shawner Bansky. And as you may recall, Shawner Bansky was the University of Maryland student who killed Second Lieutenant, now First Lieutenant. Actually, he was promoted posthumously to First Lieutenant Richard Collins III. But at the time that the law was passed, he was Second Lieutenant. But this bill basically says that it gives prosecutors the ability to prosecute hate crimes by saying that if the prosecutor can prove that hate was a substantial motivating factor in the commission of the crime, then we would provide sufficient basis for prosecuting a crime as a hate crime. The prior law, because now that new law went into effect on October 1st, the prior law was interpreted by the courts to require prosecutors to prove that hate was the only factor in the commission of a crime. And that is a very high burden almost impossible to reach. And quite frankly, and your cops officer can tell you that most crimes, especially violent crimes, have mixed motives. And so it's important that we're able to now at least show, if we can show that hate was a motivating factor, then we have enough to move forward with the hate crime. In the case of Second Lieutenant Richard Collins III, we were able to secure a first-degree murder conviction, which was the lead charge. It's the charge that carries a life sentence, which we will be seeking. However, an additional charge that was included in that case was a hate crime charge. However, the judge dismissed that charge because the judge said that the state had to prove that hate was the only factor in the commission of the crime. And while we disagreed with the judge's interpretation of the statute at that time, we believed it was important to go to Annapolis to clarify that that if hate is a motivating factor in any crime, that should be sufficient to prosecute that crime as a hate crime. So we're really satisfied that we were able to pass that law. I was personally very satisfied that the Collins family was with me the entire way. We worked together to ensure that law passed, and it was just so meaningful for the Collins family. And so we are grateful that the legislature did pass that bill this year. Next slide. So as was mentioned previously by your cops officers, we have seen an increase in certain categories of crime, obviously of concern to us and to all of you. Is the increase that we've seen in domestic violence. We've seen a close to 10% increase in domestic violence cases. And these cases don't just involve intimate partners. Oftentimes it's family members or people who have a familial relationship or close relationship. They're getting into arguments. Those arguments are escalating. We know that we are not unique. When we look across the country, there is evidence that this pandemic has really impacted crime. If you look at DC, homicide rate is way up. Carjackings there are way up. Montgomery County, same deal. Robberies and violent crime is up really across the country. But, we always, focus on home because that's what we're responsible for. But we are seeing what the nation is seeing, which is an increase in certain categories of violent crime. And in particular, what is concerning to us is the increase in domestic violence. So we've seen a 10% increase overall in domestic violence cases, which includes about 5 additional strangulation cases per week. So if you want to see the breakdown from our office, we've had about 113 first-degree assaults. These are all domestic violence, 14 attempted murders, 7 murders, 10 burglaries, 2 kidnappings, and then we have a pretty significant number of misdemeanor cases as well. In addition to what we've seen in with domestic violence, we've also seen an increase in homicides, or about a 10% increase in the number of homicides year to date, which is also concerning to us. But again, this is unfortunately what we've seen as part of this pandemic, the impact of the pandemic and the impact has had on our communities all across the country. But we are certainly focused on trying to address these issues here in Prince George's County. Next slide. We have a number of different partners as well as resources for victims of not only domestic violence, but victims in general. And so this slide provides information both in English and Spanish on our victim witness unit. We have a 24/7 number, which is on this slide. Of course, if you need immediate assistance, we ask that you call 911. However, if you need other assistance, housing assistance, other social services that you may need, you can contact our office. You can contact the Family Justice Center, Prince George's County Child Protective Services, the National Domestic Violence Hotline, and the Maryland Crime Victims Resource Center. So our office, we take care of all victims. It doesn't have to be a domestic issue. It could be any victim of crime, as well as the Maryland Crime Victims Resource Center. The Family Justice Center is, typically supports, more of the domestic and familial kind of, issues that may come up. But certainly you can contact our office. That number is 301-267-3447. Again, 301-267-3447 if you need assistance from our office. Next slide. Oh, I think, okay. So some of our partners are the Department of Health and Human Services, the Domestic Violence Safe Housing Grants. And I just wanted to mention that I know that during this time, especially of a pandemic, families and victims, survivors, don't want to even think about moving into a shelter. And I want to let you know that our grant program provides us opportunities to provide individual housing for our victims. We have great relationships with some of our apartment building owners, including Southern Management, who we work with very, very well to find safe housing for victims. So no one should feel like they can't speak up or seek assistance. We have resources available to them. And so they just need to reach out to us and we will work with them. Again, the Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault Center, the Family Crisis Center, Community Advocates for Family and Youth do a wonderful job with our child victims. The Maryland Crime Victims Resource Center, that I mentioned, and the Family Justice Center. Next slide. So in addition, we're responsible for everyone in our community, both certainly our residents, those who are in the community, but we are also responsible for the safety and security of individuals who are, who have committed offenses as well. And so we know that at one point our jail had not, I wouldn't say a large outbreak, but there were individuals who had contracted coronavirus in our jail. And of course, our inmates are human too, and they can catch a virus. And we were concerned about our jail population. However, your safety is our first priority. But we did look at ways to responsibly release or recommend the release of low-level offenders. So we're not talking about people who've committed violent crimes like murder, rape, armed robberies, armed carjackings. We are very thoughtful about that because we're very concerned, of course, about our community. We want to protect our residents, but we also recognize that there are some individuals who can be safely released into the community. And so we worked with our judges, with the Office of the Public Defender, the Defense Bar, as well as the Department of Corrections to identify those individuals who could be safely released or monitored in the community through technology like ankle monitors. And so as a result, we were able to reduce our average daily population at our jail so that those who had to be there because they pose a threat and a danger to our community could actually socially distance a little bit more and reduce the number of people who had to double or even triple up in a cell. So we are pretty proud of the fact that we were able to safely reduce the jail population. But again, we are very focused on violent criminals because we want to ensure that they are not out harming individuals again. So So we could not recommend everyone be released, but we did try to judiciously reduce the jail population. And as of the last time the jail did a mass testing at the jail, they tested every inmate at the jail. I believe it was in September. There were no cases of coronavirus at the jail. And I know that they're planning to do another mass test in the near future, but we are, satisfied that the jail has done all that it can to reduce and hopefully eliminate the virus at the jail. Next slide. Emerging adults. We are working on developing an initiative around our emerging adults. Emerging adults are individuals between the ages of 18 and 26, and they make up a pretty significant number of our cases, maybe between 35 and 40% of the cases that my office handles, involve individuals in this age range, and they're committing low-level offenses and very, very violent, very serious offenses. And so our goal here is to hold them accountable, absolutely. There are individuals who commit very serious offenses. We do seek jail or prison time as a result of the offenses that they have committed, and because we consider them to be a danger to our community. But we also cannot and we will not completely throw them away, because they're oftentimes coming back to our community. So even though they may get a conviction, they may get a sentence, unless they've committed, murder or a very violent rape, their sentences are usually, relatively like they're sentenced to a period of time where they're going to be returning to our communities. So it could be as little as, 18 months, or it could be as much as 10 years. But what we know is that that generally people, even who commit violent offenses, are generally sentenced somewhere in that range. And as a result, we know that they're coming back to our communities, and we want them to come back with the skills that they need to be successful. We want to ensure that our communities are safe when they return. And so we believe that it's important to begin to intervene with them, even when they're incarcerated, even when they get sentenced. We want to ensure that we are connecting them to resources in the community to assist them as they're serving their time, so that when they do come back, they're in a position to get a job. They're in a position to cope with life better than they were before they went in. So we're looking at, a range of charges, between simple handgun possession, which most people don't serve much or if any time, with just mere possession. I'm not talking about using the handgun in the commission of a crime. I'm talking about merely being in possession of a handgun, an illegal firearm. Thefts from auto thefts, and then the more serious crimes like armed robberies and felony assaults. So individuals who commit these crimes, when they're convicted, they'll have a range of time that they may be sentenced to. And so we certainly will advocate for appropriate sentences, but those sentences we know are not going to be forever. And as a result, we believe that it is important for the community and for us to invest in their rehabilitation as well. So our local jail is very interested in working with us, as well as the State Department of Corrections. They are interested in also working with us, because what they find is that those inmates who are connected to programs, who are connected to individuals in the community who are providing mentorship and other life skills, are more ready to leave than the others who have no real connection outside of the prison, if they're in state prison. And so again, this is a way for us to look at long-term at these individuals and decide, you know what, we have to invest in them because they're returning to our communities, and we want to ensure that when they return, they're no longer a danger to us. So this program we're beginning to develop. We're working with our partners at the police department because their input is extremely important to us. They're the ones who encounter these individuals out on our streets. And we also want to ensure that the community also has an input. So we have some community groups that have joined us and have, you know, provided us with their input. But if anyone from this community would like to be a part of those conversations, we welcome you because we really want to reduce recidivism. And we really want to ensure that those individuals who do come into contact with the justice system, who are held accountable for their actions, can meaningfully return to a community that's ready to embrace them if they're committing to do the right thing. So that's a big project that we're taking on, but we understand that it's important to take on these types of initiatives because long term, it will make our community safer. I think, is this the last slide? Is there another slide? So yes, that's the last slide I have. I did want both Perry Paler and Rashid Mahdi from my office to talk to you a little bit about what they do and how your community can work closely with our office to address the needs that you would like us to assist you with. So I don't know if Perry or Rashid want to go first.
I'll jump in. Good evening, everyone. My name is Perry Paler. I'm the Deputy State's Attorney. I also serve as Chief of the Guns and Drugs Unit. And as my role as Deputy, I manage the Grand Jury Screening Unit, the Post-Conviction Unit. When persons appeal their cases, and they want new trials, we manage those motions, and also our Major Crimes Unit. That are major crimes is everything from auto theft, carjackings, robberies, and attempted murders. And I still hold my title as Chief of the Guns and Drugs Unit. One of the things that I'm most excited about is serving as the Chief of Guns and Drugs is our Back on Track program. I want to give a little historical context. When I was a young prosecutor back in the late 90s, there was this big push for diversions for addicted persons. And then what we noticed that a lot of people who were specifically drug dealers would try to basically say they were addicted to take, and they would take up spaces in the program. And that would, you know, we would lose opportunities for people who generally suffered from the illness of addiction. So this program was started by our Vice President-elect, Kamala Harris, in San Francisco when she was the DA, and it's called the Back on Track program, and it's specifically targeted for drug dealers. It's first-time offenders. A person can have obviously no first-time drug offenders, and they can't have any felony convictions on their record. There's 3 components to this. There's a community service. First, you have to enter a plea of guilty, and you have a conviction on your record at the beginning of the program. And then there's a community service component that you serve certain hours of community service. Then there's also an education program paid for by the program where you can get a certificate from Prince George's County Community College, welding, veterinary assistant, nursing assistant, things like that. And we also have an educational component where after persons have completed the certificate program, we assist them with getting jobs. And the best part of the program is graduation. At graduation, the program takes anywhere between 12 to 18 months. And then at graduation, the graduate is getting a probation before judgment on that day. So they're not convicted of a crime, but they're also given an immediate expungement. So their record is clear, and then we provide job assistance as well. So it's not strange for any of our folks to walk right from graduation into an employment program. So we're really excited about that program, and we're growing the program. We're exploring, looking into having handgun offenders. Right now, we know our youth are getting their hands on these guns, and we just can't incarcerate ourselves out of the problem. we have to provide alternate opportunities and give them other choices and show them a path of a better life. So we're going to be expanding it to take on youthful offenders, once again, with no felony convictions. And we will hopefully provide them opportunity to make different decisions and improve our county. And then I saw the cops officer commented about carjacking. We are tracking carjackings. We're seeing an uptick, particularly in juveniles who are committing carjacking. And we're also having some issues with cross-border carjackings, either youth coming in from DC, carjacking and then going back to the district, or county residents going into DC, stealing cars and coming back into the county. So we are working with the District of Columbia to try to see how we can coalesce and partner on, reducing the amount of carjackings that go on between the border. And that's pretty much all I have. Is there any questions?
Well, maybe if
Rashid,
yeah, and then I see a few questions in the chat that we can address. Okay, Rashid.
Yeah, I'll be very brief. I'm your community prosecutor for South County. I've lived here for quite some time. What we usually do is we handle a lot of nuisance issues, abatement issues, quality of life issues. But if there's anything specific that you think our office needs to take a look into, please just give me a phone call, and we'll be right with you. Doesn't take long at all. I don't want to hold up the meeting, but I'll turn it back over to Ms. Braveboy. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Rashid, I did see a few questions in the chat. I see there's a question about the murder that occurred on Lugene Lane on October 12th. I just sent a text to my leadership of my homicide unit to find out if there were any updates. I know that originally when we were notified of the homicide, there was not a known suspect. I think there was someone, a description of a suspect, but that individual had not been named. And so we just requested an update from our homicide team. So hopefully they'll get back to us pretty quickly. They did get back to us. So no arrests so far. So that's where that is, but we will certainly continue to work with our police department. And since we know that homicide is of interest to this community, I'm sure that once the police department notifies us of any updates, that we will make sure that you get those updates as well. What support resources does our office provide to those released from jails? So that is actually something that we are certainly working on, along with the county council, as well as our county executive. The issue of how do we address those who are reentering our community? So there's a reentry commission that the council has put together. We do serve on that commission, and we are providing our input as well. However, we do provide, for those who are in our Back on Track program, we actually provide a very comprehensive service to them. They get everything from counseling, mentorship, job training, job readiness, job development, and job placement. So those who are in our Back on Track program really get the full range of services. And I have been fortunate not only to attend the graduation of our Back on Track participants, but I've also attended their graduation from programs that they are getting certificates from, so that they can, have employment. Some have been employed in the health field. Some have been employed in our unions, with our unions. And I have to give a shout out to our building trades unions. They have really stepped up And in fact, they have advised that they would offer us space in their classes, as well as ensure job placement for those participants that go through their program. So we are really beginning now to be able to expand services, not just to those who are back on track, but for other individuals. And we're targeting now our emerging adults because we believe that those individuals have the greatest chance for rehabilitation because they are so young, often when they offend 18, 19, 20, 21. Their brains have not fully developed. Yes, they need to be held responsible. Yes, we hold them responsible. But then what else do we do? You know, just to say that we've got a conviction and that person has a conviction for the rest of their life, that doesn't necessarily make any of us any safer. What will make us safer if that individual has skills, can deal with whatever emotional issues they may have or mental health issues they may have, and have the appropriate training so that they can either build and open their own businesses or be gainfully employed. So we are really excited that our trade unions have stepped up and said, look, we don't care about a person's record. What we care about is if they're ready to learn, if they want to learn this trade, they're going to commit the time and effort. And if they're going to, of course, stay clean, because they can't have people in and out of their classes who are addicted, because that will be a problem with them finishing the certificate program. But then afterwards, they are committed to getting them placed on jobs. And a lot of those jobs pay $40, $50+ an hour. And they get, good wages and really great benefits. So we have seen that actually work with our Back on Track participants. And now through our Emerging Adult Program, we're hoping to expand those services. But it's going to take more than just my office. It really is a commitment from the entire county. And I do believe we have that commitment. We have a county council that is committed to reentry work and providing the resources for those individuals who are reentering our society. Calvin Hawkins, who's the chair of our council, is the chair of that task force, and he's very committed. I know that our county executive, Ms. Elsa Brooks, who used to be the state's attorney here, understands the importance of having a successful reentry program for individuals. So I know that she's very, very supportive of the work of that commission. So we're working with them, but we're doing our part too. So the part that we have resources to do, we're doing it. We're building out our partnerships, but it's going to take more than just the state's attorney's office. But the good news is you have more than just our office that wants to do this work. So the question is, where does the county post its homicide clearance rates? I know that the county has reported them routinely. I don't know if the COPS officer can tell us where they were reported, but I can tell you in prior years, our police department has cleared upwards of 86% of their cases. Sometimes they don't clear them all in the same year, but over time, they do clear those cases. I think we have one of the highest clearance rates or solved rates, I guess, in certainly in this area, and probably one of the top in the nation. And I am also very proud to say that my homicide unit has an over 90% success rate in terms of prosecuting those types of cases. But it's because of the great work and the great partnership we have with our police department. We often, sometimes we'll come out to the scenes if there's a homicide, but certainly we are we are on call 24/7. So our homicide unit, immediately gets notified when there's a homicide. They're immediately involved in the process. They're assisting with the investigation. They're assisting with signing off on search warrants and other information that is needed in order for the police to do their job. So we have been very successful, but I don't know if the police have posted, if they routinely post up-to-date clearance rates, or if they report it out yearly, but your cops officer may be able to tell you.
Yeah, I don't know what their numbers are right now, and I know they do have those available. I know they post them individually as they solve the cases, but I don't know where they post the year-to-date numbers. I'm sure I could find out and maybe bring that to the next meeting.
Yeah. But I will say that our department, unlike others, and I'm not shading any other department, but I think our department does a really great job of solving homicides. So I don't know if you all have any other questions.
Okay, so what we could do is, Harris, were you going to interject a question? Okay.
Yeah,
What we could do,
there is a question in the box.
one more popped up.
Yes. Are you also working on police and criminal? First, they said, thank you for all the great work. The programs are examples of your commitment to change. Are you also working on police and criminal justice reform?
Yes, you know, one of the things I did when I became state's attorney is I created a separate and independent public integrity unit. That unit looks at cases involving police use of force, as well as public corruption. And that could be anyone from, you know, an elected official to a government official, someone working in government, somebody who has who is sworn to protect the public trust, who breaches the public trust. So whether it's a sworn officer or a civilian elected or appointed official, we prosecute those cases. With respect to our police involved cases, you know, we work really hard to ensure that there's one set of laws, they apply to everyone. So we have held our officers accountable. We have prosecuted 2 officers, those both ended with convictions, and we have about, I think, a total of 13 or so officers, unfortunately, who we've had to indict, from everything from, you know, murder to theft. And included in that are things like, you know, rape, attempted rape, assault. It's you know, it's been it look, we just have to do our job, you know, but what we also believe in is ensuring that everyone understands and knows the rules. And so in addition to doing our job, holding these officers accountable, we have also embarked on developing an academy, and we teach classes we started teaching them every Wednesday, starting in the month of September. We did a 4th degree, Fourth Amendment class. This last month we did sexual assault and public integrity. So we did, you know, talk about what our office looks at when we are evaluating cases of police misconduct. Because again, we don't want our police officers to engage in misconduct, but when they do, you know, we have to hold them accountable. And I will also say that we've had a really good working relationship with our police department. They will provide us with, you know, cases that they would like us to review or they think we should review. And after we review those cases, we make charging decisions. So I think that we have developed a relationship with the department where they have begun to, you know, provide even more information to us when there are questionable actions of their officers. And we think in the long run, that's good for everybody. It's good for everyone when the department wants to hold themselves accountable, but it's also important for the state's attorney's office as an independent agency to set a standard and hold everyone to that standard. So we have really, I think, done a good job of holding officers accountable, but also balancing that with education and being transparent. But reform is important. And I think every good officer is, their work is discredited by bad officers. And we don't want their good work to be discredited, because we know that the vast majority of our officers are actually doing great work. The issue is if someone is not doing, or if someone has violated the law, if someone has used excessive force, will those same good officers or call out their fellow officer? Will they hold them accountable? And so in many cases they do, and in some cases, they may not. But again, our goal is to ensure that everyone knows the rules, and when they violate the rules, my job is to prosecute, and we do that, and we have done so successfully. So yes, criminal justice reform is huge. We're working on it, but I think education and training is also important in that, and we have stepped up to provide that. So this month, we're doing Fifth Amendment training, and so that is not just offered to Prince George's County, but also all of the police departments that operate within Prince George's County. We have about 30 that operate in some form or fashion within our county, because we have 26 municipalities, we have park police, we have metro police, we just have a lot of different agencies. We have university police. So there's a lot to do there, but we're hosting those classes through Zoom. So we're doing them virtually to make it easier for all of the officers to be able to participate. And we've had pretty good participation at those events from those officers. With respect to reform generally, we did make recommendations to the county executives, a police reform task force. I believe the task force report is due to her, or recommendations are due to her by December 4th. But within, our recommendations are things like, creating a more robust mobile crisis response team that can aid and assist officers when they're responding, especially to incidents where it involves someone who's going through a mental health crisis. We are also looking at having greater transparency and greater access to police files for my office, so that we can we can review those officers who are serving as witnesses in our cases. We want to ensure that those officers have integrity. Certainly, we must turn over any exculpatory evidence or information about them that's information that may tend to discredit their testimony. That's something that is an obligation of the state. And so we always want to know, who these officers are. Have they had any credibility issues in the past, or any issues that we need to turn over to the defense, or that we may want to consider in determining whether or not we want to move forward with a case. So having more access, or greater access to police personnel files for us is important. So that's something that we're asking for. Certainly we support body cameras. We know that the county executive has put that in the budget, and that the Bureau of Patrol should be outfitted with body cameras. I think by early next year, all of the districts should have them. But in addition to having them, we need to be able to review them. And so, we need additional resources too, so that we can have prosecutors who can review that body camera footage, so that we can see in real time, what's happening, if there are issues that have happened on the streets, and whether or not officers have exceeded their authorized use of force against civilians. So all of these things are important to us. And we've provided recommendations to the county executives, a task force, which we hope will be adopted in the final report. But yes, we believe in police reform. We plan to testify on a number of bills in Annapolis that are addressing police reform. I have already testified on some of those proposed bills, but I expect I'll be testifying find one more once the session begins. I see a question about the status of a case that was put on hold due to the pandemic. That's tough. A lot of the cases have not yet been assigned trial dates, but if you want to provide, Rashid, can you put your email address in the chat? If you have a question about a specific case, we can follow up with you to find out the status of that case. But because we have had such a backlog, because the courts were shut down for a period of time, there were no trials occurring. And even now, where we do have jury trials, we only have maybe 2 or 3 a week because the pandemic has really affected our operations. It makes it more difficult to select juries and to seat juries. And so there are only, I think, 3 courtrooms in the courthouse where you can have jury trials. So things are moving, but they're moving really, really slow. But Rashid did provide his email address. And so if there's a specific case, he can look that case up for you and let you know whether or not there's a trial date that's been set. I did want to also, I believe Madam Clerk of the Court, Mahasan Amin, well, she was with us. I don't know if she's still with us, but I know that her office is working really hard to ensure that those cases are scheduled as soon as they can be. But again, because of the pandemic, it has been really tough. And I will say that Governor Hogan, I think just yesterday, I think kind of gave us some sobering stats about, the rise in coronavirus cases and hospitalizations and deaths in our state. And as a result, we're really not sure at this time how or if that will affect the operations of the courts. I suspect it will. And so we are, certainly concerned because, victims, they have a right to get justice, and defendants have a right to have their day in court. So we understand all of that. But this pandemic has put everyone, having to make very tough choices about how to proceed safely, and can we proceed safely? So we'll know probably in the next day or two what, if any, impact these new stats around coronavirus will have on court operations. But we will certainly try to get answers to a specific case. So if anyone has a specific case that they are interested in getting the status of, oh, there's our Madam Clerk, then please email Rashid, and he will look it up for you and get back to you. But I did want to give a shout out to Madam Clerk, who's done a wonderful job of trying to manage, this backlog of cases and help our justice system move along as best as we can under the circumstances.
Okay, I believe that's it with the questions. We certainly appreciate our state's attorney, Aisha Braveboy, and her team for such a comprehensive presentation to our community. We certainly appreciate you, and we want to continue to communicate with you. So we will reach out to Rashid and make sure the connection stays there. So we want to give a virtual round of applause to the state's attorney team. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for mentioning Madam Clerk Mahasan. She's doing an excellent job, and especially in Camp Springs, she's one of ours, right? So we're very proud of her, what she's doing, her team down in Upper Marlboro. I also do want to recognize a couple people who have joined us on Facebook. We have a couple delegates. We have Delegate Veronica Turner. and also Delegate Chris Valderrama. So we want to definitely give them a virtual round of applause for joining us. They've been doing an excellent job, and communicating with Camp Springs and supporting us and making sure that we are informed of what's going on down in Annapolis. Okay, so what I want to do is now I want to bring in, if I can slide in, we're going to talk about the veteran population through Dr. James Dula, who is the Prince George's County Officer of Veteran Affairs. Dr. Dula, thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you having me. And I'll make it very brief. First of all, happy Veterans Day to all of our veterans. And a special shout out to all the Marines that may be online. Yesterday was the 245th birthday of the Marine Corps. So we certainly applaud our veterans. We certainly applaud our Marines who have served and protected the United States of America from the Revolutionary War, fight for independence, to events taking place today in distant and foreign lands. So thank our veterans very much. To make it quick, I know the time is short. This is my 5th event today. And I tell you what, I've enjoyed every event I've gone to. We dedicated a new park over in District Heights this morning, new Veterans Park. And we were so happy to go out and do that and get the media coverage they deserved. We also had an opportunity to go over and speak with veterans at the Cheltenham Cemetery and share ideas and speak with them about their loved ones lost and so forth and so on. So it's been a full day and a day where we have really come together as a community to support our veterans. At the Office of Veteran Affairs, I just want you to know that we're here to support all our veterans, Army, Air Force, Navy, Marine, Coast Guard. We have a new branch of service called the Space Branch, and we're here for them as well. We also include our uniform services of NOAA and health services, which are part of the uniform services, but not part of the armed forces here in America. So we support all of them with their needs and any concerns they have, them and their families. Also, on the other side of the coin, we make sure that we connect veterans with the programs that can help satisfy their needs, from health care to employment to VA claims to family issues they may be having, mental health issues they may be having. And we also give tidbits of information about how they might be able to handle this COVID period when it's easy to become depressed and be affected by PTSD. So we're working with our veterans across the spectrum. We make sure we're here for them every day, here for the spouses. And unfortunately, we had to increase our surviving spouse program because Vietnam veterans, unfortunately, are suffering many illnesses from Agent Orange and passing away. So I'd like for each person on the call today to be an ambassador for the Office of Veteran Affairs. Tell the veterans in your community that we are here and that they can contact us at any time at 301-780-8260. That's 301-780-8260. And then we will return the call within 24 to 48 hours. We have been very aggressive to get out into our community to touch every veteran and every family member to let them know we're here and we really care about them in our community. So that is about it. I wanted to keep it short, but remember, they can call 301-780-8260, and we'll be glad to address any issues they may have. Thank you for having me. Happy birthday to our Marine Corps. And at the same time, have a happy Veterans Day. Thank you, Mr. Bailey.
Thank you, sir. We certainly appreciate you. I know it's been a busy day for yourself, so hopefully you can clock out now and get some rest. And tell the missus I say hello.
I would be happy to. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right. Our next subject, we like to make sure that we acknowledge businesses, both nonprofit as well as for-profit in our area. They're doing a wonderful job out here. So we like to bring up front and focus on one per meeting. So at this point, we're going to focus on Blue Water Seafood and Caribbean Grill. And we have the manager, Nate, on board. Nate, are you ready?
Yes, sir. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. It's a very informative segment I've been listening to so far since I joined. I appreciate you having me, man. So
Absolutely.
I just want to get on here and represent for Blue Waters Caribbean Seafood and Grill. We're located on Old Branch Avenue, 6349 Old Branch Avenue. We specialize in Caribbean seafood. I'm more of a health conscious cuisine. We want to make sure we give our community the freshest and cook to order food in this area. We really focus on a great customer service experience, and we want to make sure that any and everyone that comes in our direction gets the best service that they can get and the freshest food they can get. We serve from oxtails to jerk chicken to right now we got a seafood pasta, a Braveboy pasta that's amazing. So we have a lot of different cuisines that could definitely be intriguing to any and everyone that comes in our direction. So definitely appreciate you guys giving us a chance to shine on this. Our website is bluewaterscsgrill.com. bluewaterscsgrill.com. And we are open from 12 to 8 Monday through Thursday, and 12 to 9 Friday, Saturday, and 12 to 7 on Sundays. So please come out, get you some fresh food and some great customer service. And I hope to see you guys there. Hope to see you again, Mr. Bailey. I appreciate you coming out. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you. We really appreciate you, Nate, for taking the time out.
There was one question from the community.
Okay.
When are you expanding?
Oh man, that's a great question. We did pick up the suite right next door to us, so we still right now with the pandemic, we're in that limbo stage where it's like, you know, we want to open up. Everything is being worked on right now. I mean, we have the space. We're just trying to, you know, get the balls rolling and making sure that we have everything set in place. But we don't have a specific date on when that expansion is coming, but it's coming. Please be patient with us. We really appreciate that, but it's definitely coming. We're hoping like maybe mid summer of 21. So hopefully we can get there, but that's what it's looking like from here.
Thank you.
Okay, we only have one question. All right, well, we certainly appreciate you, Nate, for coming out and sharing information on Blue Waters. It's somewhere that I have been often. It's a change of pace here. We definitely have to support our own. This is a business within Camp Springs. So we have to make sure that people know that you're open for business and to come out and support. So Absolutely. Thank you for coming out, and I'll see you soon.
I'll see you soon. Thank you, brother.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Okay, was there anything else, Harris, that was pending? Okay, Monique.
Other questions?
No other questions at this time.
Okay.
I do think I see a question that just popped up a minute ago on Facebook. It says Camp Springs Civic Association. Is there a membership fee and dues to be paid? And how can I be a guest or featured business as a business owner in Prince George's County, Maryland, specifically from Temple Hills?
Monique.
Just popped up a minute ago.
Yes. Business membership is $25 each fiscal year. If you give me you can give me a call. I'm at 472-1739. And I can answer your other questions about becoming a member and how it works as far as being featured at our community meetings. Thank you. You can give me a call. I'm at 240-1739. And I can answer your other questions about becoming a member and how it works as far as being featured at our community.
Thank you for answering that question, Miss Monique. Mr. Bailey, turn it back over to you.
Were there any other questions that popped up?
That's it
All
for
right.
Facebook.
No, it's another question. There's another question.
In the chat.
Yes.
Oh, I do see it. Sorry. This one says, there are a lot of bandit signs along Allentown Road. Is there a way to prevent bandit signs? That's it for Facebook.
That was another question. There's another question.
That was a question, Mr. Bailey.
Okay. All right. Sorry, I was just waiting for that feedback to end. The signs, I believe you're speaking of the signs that are placed in the ground or on the poles. These need to be reported to, actually you can send it to us as a civic association, or you can call 311 and report it through County Click or 311. What we do when we do our cleanups, we actually approach that ourselves. So sometimes the county cannot get out as often as we would like. And that's why we do our cleanups in our own community. So we'll take care of that once we come out. So just like Monique stated earlier, we will be having a cleanup on the 22nd. Stay tuned, check the website and Facebook account, and we will post all of the cleanups. If we need to do an extra one, we'll be glad to do that. So get in contact with us and we can set something up.
There's another question that popped up. Actually, two more. This one is from Miss Williams. There is a lot of loitering and drug interactions at the intersection of Camp Springs Avenue and Allentown Road. I have picked up several trash bags of trash, including beer cans and hypodermic needles. Are the cops addressing this?
Yes, you're talking right next to the 7-Eleven. This is this has been constant, and we are definitely communicating with the police officers in District 4. That's actually across the street. Corporal Polnack is actually on the opposite side. So we need to approach this again, and I will send the major another message that we need to focus on Camp Springs Avenue again.
Okay, there's another question. This question is from Ms. Tay. Can we get speed bumps on Center Drive?
There is a process to getting speed deterrents on any street. So what we can do is we can speak on that a little later. You can send me a message and we can, I can give you the actual process of how that goes, and we can submit an application.
Okay, and as of right now, that was the last question from Facebook.
All right. We certainly appreciate everyone coming out. I want to definitely spotlight Ms. Tara, who's doing the technical part. You don't see her. She's doing a lot behind the scenes, and we certainly appreciate her. This wouldn't happen without her. So I like to promote businesses. She's running a business in our community. So I would like for her to say a few things on her business and what she provides. And maybe some other people would like to hire her for an event. I know you don't like that.
I was just gonna say thank you, Mr. Bailey, for putting me on the spot again. Hi everybody. My name is Tara, aka Carib Gem. Some people from the entertainment industry know me under that name. I am actually a multimedia engineer, consultant, designer, producer, all of that. Just specialist. I was born and raised in Temple Hills, Maryland. I actually was born on Andrews Air Force Base, so I don't think I ever told you that, Mr. Bailey. So I was actually born in Camp Springs, raised in Temple Hills, and just throughout the years, I've even a few years ago, I had an office for my multimedia company, my business partner, and we had an office in Camp Springs. So I'm here. If you need anything dealing with graphic design, web design, podcasting, Zoom tech support, computer support, anything multimedia, definitely feel free to reach out. My email address, cgemspeaks@gmail.com, and I'll spell that for you. And it'll also put it in the comment box. That's C as in cat, G as in girl, E, M as in Mary, speaks@gmail.com. Also, if you the same CGem Speaks, you can check me out on Instagram, Facebook, CGem Speaks. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. Thank you. We really appreciate you. All right, that seems to be it's time we can wrap it up now. We don't have any more questions, any other concerns. Make sure you go to our website, canspringsca.org. Check all of our social media platforms. We are on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, which we're running live through Facebook right now. We want to send a shout out to everyone. Just be safe out here. Make sure you wear your mask. Let's move forward. Let's improve our community. And our next meeting, and I'll see you right here on January 13th in the new year, 2021. Everyone be safe. God bless. We'll see you soon. Thank you.